Okay, next work in progress on Gladiator. So I'm going to work on the portraits today, try to get these pretty much knocked out. So the reference I was given, we're going to go kind of a slightly, not paler purple, but not such a dark purple. And then looks like his eyes are white, the cowl goes black, and then the hair is kind of this kind of bluish kind of tone with so a black base going to dry brush some blue on top. So these have been primed and dried for a couple hours and they're ready to go. It's always a challenge to keep things from getting dust on them. So get a paintbrush and kind of dust these off. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to highlight this primer. I'm trying to think here. I'm going to do this because I've got some white here that I mixed up for another project that's got a little bit of purple in it, which would be a great kind of highlight color. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in there with this. I should have enough for both of these heads for highlights. I think so. It's already thinned, I think, from the last time I used it. I guess it should be. I can add a little thinner to it. Just add a little thinner. So this is kind of like a really light lavender that I had mixed up from a previous color. I've got it thinned down pretty good. So what we're going to do here, I might base cut, let's see. I don't know, I'm going to play around a little bit here. That's what I do. I'm just going to start painting. See what happens. You can kind of see there that color I'm building up. It's almost white, but it's got a little bit of purple in it. Hit kind of all the high spots. I may go in and hit the shadows a little bit with a deeper gray. Let's see. Thankfully this piece only has 2 portraits. It looks like the only skin tone he's got is purple. Got my needle cranked down pretty good, so not a lot of paint's coming out. Like on the back of the neck, you're going to build this up pretty high. highlight and then just let it fade down into the neck here a little bit. Now we're going to start working on the head here. Got some nice subtle details sculpted in, so we're going to hit those. Hit the brow. Top of the nose pretty hard. I'll just do this one on camera and then I'll do the other one off. See what I got going on here. Oops. Got some really nice subtle details in this piece. So what I'll do after I get this done is then I'll mist on purple so I kind of get the tone I want, and then I'll go back and probably hit the shadows a little bit. Here on the top of the head, I'm going to back off and just kind of mist this on a little bit to give an overall brighter area. With the ears. Alright, so that's kind of what we're going to do there. So I'm going to do the other one and I'll come back. Alright, so we did the highlighting and I went back after I did that kind of really pale purple with some straight white and just at the very tops of the high spots. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here. Excuse me, I'm going to put on a glove again so I can paint all of myself. And I'm just going to go in here now with Mr. Color number 67 with purple. And we're going to mist this on and build up our tone. So Mr. Color number 67, purple. And I'm going to do these evenly at the same time so I get the same tone. And just done one color here, or one coat here. Like so. That. I'm going to do the same on this head and just slowly build it up. I don't do it all at once because I want to make sure these are the same color and I want to stay consistent with how I apply it. Okay, go back to the other head and do another coat. The hard part's under the chin to get that coated without getting too much paint on the other areas. There's 2 coats. And just like that, and we're just going to keep building this up, probably 1 or 2 more coats, and then we'll probably be pretty close. It's a little bright in my camera right now, my exposure's a little high, but it's alright. Yeah, plenty of paint here. Try to overlap about 50% each coat. And then I will go in and hit the shadows again. I'll mix up the color. See if I can make this like a clear purple. Hit the shadows a little bit. But I gotta let these dry down a little bit each time because it does darken down a little bit. This is what, fourth coat right here. Yeah, hit the shadows again. No big deal. Typically what I have to do anyway. Highlight, color, and shadows. And it'll darken everything down just a little bit because I think it's maybe a little too bright according to my reference. So I do want to let this dry down a little bit. Neckline's a little bit harder. Some more color. Okay, I'm going to do one more round, and then we'll let it dry, and then we'll hit the shadows. I probably should have on the slightly darker base rather than the primer gray, then a slightly darker tone underneath. That's okay. I got the right color to go in here and do the shading. We'll use that the violet dye that I have from Angel Gilding. I'm going to mix a little bit of that in with this purple for the shadows. And it won't take much, it's really potent stuff. But I think it'll shift everything a little bit more towards the violet color. Because we're going for a slightly paler purple. This is a little too pale, I think. Alright, I'll let this dry for a little bit, and then we're going and hit the shadows. Okay, so what I did, I took that purple I had and I mixed in some of this violet tint from Angel Gilding. It's super potent, but I've got this kind of custom mixed violet shadow tone now in my cup. I over-thinned it a little bit, so it's kind of translucent. So I'm going to go in here and work on hitting these shadows a little bit, bring out some of the details again. The shading's there, it's just super subtle, and I want it to be not so super subtle, so I'll try to do most of this off camera because I need to get real close to see what I'm doing. Down here in all the recesses. I backed off quite a bit because I kind of want this to soften up and just blend real nicely. I got my needle cranked down pretty tight so not a whole lot of material comes out at one time. Yeah, it's getting me to the tone I want. Real soft. Probably can't see what's happening here, but I got my camera zoomed out pretty wide so you guys, because usually I'm not in frame. Get underneath the chin pretty hard. Yeah, I'll do this one on camera and then I'll do that one off camera. I'll show you the difference once I'm done here. I have very little paint coming out. Yeah, that's getting there now. It's hard to see too because it's shiny. Behind the ears pretty hard. Okay, I'm not sure if you'll be able to see the difference in camera because they're shiny, but so the one on the left I've gone in and done some more shading. Let me turn my exposure down. And the right I have not. So after I flat coat, you'll be able to see. So I'm going to continue doing this, and then when I'm done, I'll come back. Okay, so I've top coated the heads with some flat, let those dry. While that dries, I'm going to go ahead and start working on the metallic bluish part of his uniform. And for that, I'm just going to hand brush on Vallejo number 800. This is gunmetal blue, and this actually, he wants this kind of tealish blue look, and this might be the, according to my reference, this might be the exact same color that they use because it's pretty much spot on. So I'm going to hand brush this on. It covers very, very well. I've done this before with this paint. And then I'll let it dry and I'll seal it. And then I'm going to add the shadows. But I'm just hand brushing this on. It covers very, very well. And it doesn't show any brush marks. So it's a great paint. So I'm going to do this. And after I seal it, we'll come back on and show you how to add the shadows. Alright, so I got the metallic done, or painted on the shoulders and the legs here, and let it dry for about 30 minutes. The airbrush I got it mixed up as midnight blue with a little bit of plasma blue, and these are ghost tints, and I'm going to add the shadows now. So we'll see how dark this is. I may have to add a little more midnight blue to this to get the tone I want. Yeah, I think I need some more. Need some more midnight blue. These guys build up slowly because they're you got a little bit of water mixed in here too. These don't like to go through the airbrush too easily. I'm not quite getting. Probably should have just done midnight blue by itself. So I'm going to keep darkening this until I get the color I want. Plasma blue is more potent than I thought. Air pressure a little bit. This may not be the right color for this. It's not giving me the effect I want. I usually cut pretty quick if I'm going to get what I want. I'm going to go ahead and over everything with this since I've already started. And then I'm just going to go in here with some transparent black to get the look that we want. So I'm going to come back after I do this because it's not going to do what I want. Okay, so I got the torso and the legs sealed. I'm letting those dry. I think it's going to look good. So now the heads have been sealed. The purple looks really good. Again, it's a little shiny in the camera. It's not the shiny in person. So what I'm doing now is I'm going in and I'm outlining the cowl just in black. And then I'm going to use Silly Putty to mask off the rest of it. And spray this black. Taking a cue from John Oliver. He always goes in and cuts in first. And I did it on the Captain America heads and it did speed up a little bit. I typically would go in, mask, and then touch up the edges, but this seems to work pretty good. So we're going to do it again. Nothing much to show here. I'm just going in with some acrylic black and just cutting in. It makes sense when you're using Silly Putty because Silly Putty is hard to get a real clean edge, I find. And you have to do this anyway if you're using Silly Putty, so I might as well do it beforehand. And I'm just using this craft paint straight from the bottle. Covers in one coat when you do that. The brush is done real nice for this kind of thing. So today's goal was to get the blue done on the torso, that metallic color, which I think once it dries and I look at it, I think it'll be good to go. And I think I can get the portraits done because they're relatively, compared to a human portrait, they're relatively simple. You can see I'm getting that black line around the cowl. So I'm going to continue to do this, then I'll Silly Put it and I'll come back. Okay, so here's that kind of metallic blue on the shoulders and the legs. And I think it looks pretty good. I'm going to check this out against my reference photo that my client sent me. And we're pretty damn close to the same color. I mean, it's pretty spitting image, so I think that's a good match. Just sealed the heads after spraying the black on the cowl. We'll let that dry, and then do the eyeliner, and we'll dry brush the mohawks, and then we'll probably call it a day because this needs to dry overnight before I can do any masking or anything on it. So when we come back, we'll finish up the portraits. All right, we did a cooking show here because I just did the red and I didn't record any of it because I knew it would take me a full day to do it and I just needed to get it done. So here's the red, the cape's in the booth, hanging up, and my client wanted a slightly darker, kind of richer red, which I really like. I think it's going to look good with everything. So I'll explain what I did. So since I didn't record it, so I had the primer gray, just the Krylon primer gray, which was this color right here. After I did that and let that dried, I went in and I did a highlighting with GarageKits.us semi-transparent pure white. So I added highlights with this, on this and the cape. And then I made a custom mix of red. Basically all the reds I had left in my stash, I came up with just this custom red paint, and I layered that on until I got the kind of tone I wanted. It was a little too bright, and I needed to hit the shadows again. So then I mixed up a custom shadow color, which is a combination of some wine red, some clear red, and deep clear red. So we kind of got this kind of nice maroonish wine color. Kind of like a semi-transparent. I went back and hit all the shadows again, and then just darkened those down pretty good. And this is what we got, and it looks really good. So I sent pictures to my client last night, and I'm glad he liked it because it literally took me about 12 or 13 hours to get the red done. And I did see a little snafu there I gotta fix. I'm not sure how that happened, so I gotta fix that this morning. So yeah, so it's looking good. So now I'm gonna work on the gold today. So I gotta mask off the gold, mask off the areas for the gold, and get that sprayed. That's gonna take a good portion of the day. And then once I get everything masked, I'll show you the gold I'm using. But the masking takes a while. It took me over 2 hours just to mask off to do the red. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna mask and then spray some gold. Okay, after a couple hours of masking, I got the body masked off. So this just takes a long time. Got a custom gold here. It's a little bit of red gold, a little bit of brass, a little other gold. Just kind of trying to get something that looks like the reference I was sent. And I'm gonna spray a little bit of this on. Get just a little bit in the airbrush. Let's see what this looks like. And we'll see what this. You can see I've got this guy glued all together. So let's put a little bit on and see what this looks like. Okay, it's a little too yellow. So I'm gonna add some clear red to my gold mix, and then we'll come back and take a look at it again. Okay, so I think I got the gold right. I just added some yellow and red to it, and it warmed it up a little bit. So it's looking pretty good. So I'm gonna hit the belt. And then I'll spend the rest of the morning masking the cape and getting that sprayed. That'll take the rest of the day probably. So the red took all day, this gold's gonna take all day. And then I'll use the rest of the week to do the base. And I didn't use any silly putty because silly putty does not react well in Mr. Color paints, it melts. If you follow my Captain America paint job I did last time, it melts. It's a plastic and this is a lacquer paint, so it tends to react not so well with the silly putty. The only place that has silly putty is down underneath the arms there, where it's kind of a weird shape. So I'll send a picture of this to my client, see if he likes the color before I unmask this, because I do not want to unmask this again. And this metallic paint's covered very, very well. It doesn't take a lot of it. And also some touch-ups to do after I take the masking tape off, but hopefully it's just the red that I gotta touch up. I'd rather touch up the red than the metallic. That I can touch up pretty easily without you noticing any touch-ups. Okay, let this dry. And then we're spend several hours masking the cape and then spraying that gold trimmer on the cape. But I think that's looking pretty good. So hopefully when we come back, the gold will be done, which will be in several hours. Okay, so another baking show trick. The gold is done and it looks really good. So that took me yesterday to do. So one day to do red, one day to do gold. And actually had to do a little more touch up today on the cape. A few little areas where the masking was off just a little bit, so I went and fixed those. But it looks really good. It's in front of my client. And the cape is done. So looking really sharp. Super happy with that. Shading looks fabulous. So all that time spent on the red really paid off. Let me get Gladiator for you to show what that looks like. Yeah. Okay, so here he is. Let's not drop him, that'd be bad. And all the colors are dropping very nicely, so looking really good. So yeah, we went find one that's kind of deeper dark red, which I really like. Goes great with the metallic bluish green that we got going on. And again, took a whole day to do, just to mask and do the gold. Not much of it on there, but it's lots of masking, little touch-ups and stuff. So the Gladiator figure is done. So now what we're gonna do is work on the base. So one thing I did last night is I went through and I base coated everything with a rattle can in black. I forgot to do this one head, but that's no big deal. And my client gave me all his, I talked to him on the phone today and got some notes as far as what we're gonna do and describe that for you real quick. So he's been giving me references and you know, other painters' pieces. And obviously, I don't try to replicate exactly because I'm not that painter, but I take what clients give me and then kind of interpret it, try to talk to them on the phone, and give them what they want, but kind of the way I do it. So a couple of paint ups. One is Rafael Robleddo's paint up on YouTube, which I've seen before. So I've seen a bunch of different paint ups. So what we're going to do is, I'm going to kind of take you over the notes I wrote down. So for Darkhawk, which is this guy right here, we're going to do him in a metallic blue. We're going to do this face plate in silver, and we're going to do a red visor. For these guys, we're going to do like silver helmets, silver heads, and we're going to kind of mimic what Raphael did on his. We're going to do some blue highlighting here and there, and we're going to do red eyes. So those are going to be glossy, kind of glowing eyes. Those will look cool. And then, so we got 3 of those. So these guys are going to kind of replicate the same color scheme, kind of the silver with blue highlighting, and then I'll go in there and pick out some of the metallics and do different metallics on them. And these are all going to kind of go as semi-gloss with the gloss eyes and stuff. And then for the rocks, we're going to do like, we're calling it cosmic rocks, but basically different metallics, blues and purples and stuff to kind of like space rocks. And then I'm calling these parts the columns. We're going to do those as silver, like a warm silver or warm metallic with some weathering. And these areas right here that are flat, he sent me a paint up where it looks like they've been cut with a laser sword, which looks really cool. So it's like a really bright highlight with some coloring. So that's where we are now. So, do I get brush on? Yeah, it is. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to put this stuff to the side, and I'm going to work on these heads and stuff. So this base coat, this is Krylon matte, but it came out, I put it on pretty wet, so it came out kind of like a semi-gloss, which is actually really nice. So it's a good base for doing metallics and stuff, and it's a pretty tough paint. So on top of the primer and that, I should have a base coat for doing all this stuff. So I'm going to put these, what I'm calling column pieces to the side, and I'm going to start off by base coating these heads and these body parts. So we're going to work on these pieces first. And we're going to do those in, I have the color I want. Pale burnt metal. Yeah. Actually, no, we're not going to. I'm going to do them in, what I got here. Silver, chrome. I might want to start a little bit brighter than normal because we're, weather these things up. So I'm going to put on so I'm just going to handle these by hand. And these Vallejo metal colors, which are great for this kind of thing. The first step is just kind of base coat stuff. So the first color is, this is chrome. And I'm just going to, even for the set, I'm not going to really go black. I'm just going to, because we're going to do a candy blue on this. These all get base coat. These all get for our top coat. I'll do Krylon satin, which isn't super glossy. Oh, you know, I forgot. I gotta do one thing on that piece before I do any of that. So I'm gonna put that to the side because I forgot I gotta do something. So I'm gonna base coat these guys. And do this, and then I'm going to go in there and I'm going to hit the eyes and let those kind of dry. So we're going to do like a glowing eye effect. But for right now, we're just going to base coat them in this tone right here. I just mix this on real lightly. I don't put it on real heavy. And I want to let it dry just for a few minutes. And then I'm going to go into the eyes and put a little white spot in the middle of the eyes. I gotta do the eyes first, then I need to mask them off. There's the neck part here, I'll paint a different color, but we're just base coat everything in this first. So I didn't record any of the red or the gold, but sometimes, like I said in some of my videos, I just gotta work, and I didn't have time to record stuff because I knew the red would take me all the day, a full day, and I knew the gold would take most of the day. I didn't think it would take all day, but it did. The red took me 12 or 13 hours. I mean, I worked from 8 in the morning till almost 9 o'clock at night getting the red done. The gold took me about 10 hours, 9 or 10 hours. Just it's all masking. Okay, that's looking pretty good. And build it up slowly. I'm going to base coat these body parts in this also. So even though it says chrome paint, does not look like chrome. I mean, even with a super glossy surface, it probably won't look like mirror chrome. I like to base coat when I do metallics. A lot of times I like to do a matte black or a semi-gloss black base coat. Unless I'm trying to get a really shiny chrome look, then I'll do super glossy. But I like a matte. I think it looks more realistic with a matte or a semi-matte or semi-gloss black base coat. But black is usually the go-to base coat for metallics. It just kind of helps with the reflectivity of the paints. Metallic particles tend to look more realistic. So this even though it says chrome, this is coming out more like a polished aluminum look, which is perfect for these guys. So I didn't get it. I haven't been painting a whole lot today. I had some other stuff I gotta do, some 3D printing stuff. So I'm not gonna do it. I thought I'd try to get a good portion of this base done today, but I had some other things pop up. So I think it'll get done this weekend for sure. Today's Thursday. If I did nothing but this, I would have nothing but work on this project. I'd have it done tomorrow afternoon, but I had some other things pop up I gotta work on, so it's okay. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep base coating. I'll come back when I'm done. Alright, so I got those pieces base coated. I'm gonna worry about what I gotta do on this is I forgot that we're going to another reference photo he sent me was was one of the paint ups. They actually I like the real simple effect. But they basically just kind of carved out some cracks in the top of the helmet here to make it look like it was damaged. So I'm going to do that real quick with the Dremel. And just gives a little added kind of damaged effect. So to do that, I'm going to get out a little carving bit. Let's see. I'll buy this guy right here. It's a little one. Yeah, right. Take this guy out from. Take this out. Switch don't drop your airbrush. Sorry, we gotta switch out the chuck to accommodate the smaller diameter piece here. And maybe too small. Hold on. Sorry. I should have been ready before I started recording. This one? Ah, this is it. No? Alright, I'll be back. Alright, sorry about that. As usual, I'm not ready when I'm recording. So I just got this real tiny bit in my drill bit here, or my Dremel. Just some low power. I'm just going to kind of carve out some cracks here. Like that. Doesn't look like a hole not right now, but once that weather and everything, it'll kind of look like he's got some cracks and stuff in there from where you put that sword or whatever. So we're gonna get this base coated, and then we'll work on the red. Okay, for the eyes, we're gonna base coat them in a dark color first. And this is semi-transparent number 7. GarageKits.us. I'm just kind of let that overspray kind of go everywhere because we're going to kind of get a cool effect here in a little bit. And for his visor, let's see, he wants a red visor. We're going to do the same thing. So there's a little back and forth on the processes here. Once these are done, go back and hit the outside with silver again. So there's that. Now we're going to go with semi-transparent white. I'm going to highlight the centers. And that way, when we put the red on, looks like they got a glow in the middle of them. Okay, so this will have to come out real. You can dry tip pretty quick with these paints. Just building it up so I get a nice bright white in the middle. Just kind of let the overspray do its thing. So that's what we're going for. So I'll do that at the end and we'll come back. Okay, so we're going to go in here and I'm going to put on some candy red over the eyes. Let's see how this looks. Gotta build it up slowly. This is K-Color's Hot Red. I have a few of their colors. They're actually really nice paints. There you go. And when I gloss over these will look really good. K-Color acrylics airbrushed very, very nicely. I wish they were easier to get. They're Spanish color, or Spanish company. Fill it up slowly. They're one of the few acrylics paints you can actually kind of spray on like a medium wet kind of a little bit. Now I'm going to do is I'm going to leave all this kind of red overspray on the inside of the faces because it'll just look like it's glowing off the metal. So I'm just going to leave that as is. It should be kind of cool. But I am going to silly putty over the eyes, so when I go in to do the blue, I don't get any blue on the actual eyeballs. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. And then that looks good. That looks good. I'm gonna do this visor. I'll let this dry for a little while before I silly putty over them, just to be safe. Actually, what I'll probably do is, because you want to see this gloss, so I'm thinking I may hit these with 2K clear tonight and let them dry overnight. And then that way I can silly putty them in the morning. So that's what I'll do. That way I'll get the nice high gloss on them. But there you go, there's that. Oops. Yeah, so I've got a few of these K-Color paints and they've been really, really nice. The few times I've used them, I've absolutely loved them. They cater more towards automotive painters, so they're really high-end quality acrylic paints. Because like in Spain, they're now I think they have these acrylic paints. They have these solvent-based paints. Just like in California, they're not allowed to use solvent-based paints on cars. You have to use acrylics or water-based paints. So they have to be super, super high-end quality. So we're gonna let that dry for a little bit, and then I'll mix up some 2K clear and we'll gloss those, and they'll sit overnight, and then they can silly play in the morning. Okay, instead of using 2K clear, I've got a little bit of Mr. Color clear here. We're using number 46 clear gloss. I'm gonna just kind of mix this up in my airbrush a little bit, and this will give me a nice gloss finish on the eyes too, and it'll dry a little faster. I'll still wait till overnight, but I don't need to mix up 2K clear for this. I'm going to use some Mr. Color. So I'm just going to mix up my airbrush here. Guesstimate. Got way too much mixed up, but I'm out of the mixing cups I can use for Mr. Clear. You can use paper or... Okay, so I was gonna put on a little light coat first. Just like that, real light. It's just a little tack coat. You just gotta let it sit for a little bit, especially with those lights I put it on. Okay, so now I'm going to put on a wet coat. Yes. That. And then by the time they're doing that, you can put on another white coat on these guys. I'm putting this on pretty wet, but it's drying pretty quick. It's a lacquer, so it dries fast. Those 2 wet coats. Man, yeah, my client pointed out a piece of dust on one of the portraits and was like, man, there's nothing I can do about it. I get dust in my paint. It was like, I'm not in a laboratory clean room. Alright, I'm gonna do like 2 more wet coats, and then we'll let these dry overnight, and we'll come back tomorrow. Alright, next day, so I went ahead and slowly puttied over the eyes and oh, stop it. My phone is being weird. Okay, so I slowly put over the eyes on these guys and the visor on this guy, and then I sprayed metallic blue on this guy, so I'm letting this dry, and then I'm going to then I'll seal this, and then I'll take the silly putty off, and then I'll hand paint the visor silver, and then we'll go in and do some weathering and stuff on it after that. So right now what we're going to do is, that metallic blue dry for a while. So the reference that I was sent for these guys is Raphael Robledo's Paint Up, and so we're going to kind of mimic that a little bit. Again, I'm not going to try to copy it exactly because I'm not Raphael, and he does his own paint work, but he's an awesome painter, but I've been following him for years. So basically what we're going to do some shading with some clear blue. Well, I thought it was, until it stopped spraying. Make it a little more thinner. This is the blue I'm using is a little more vibrant than Raphael used. This is Mr. Color Clear Blue. And we're just hitting these lines a little bit. Let me put my lid on so I don't spill paint on them. So I'm going to pull up the photos, and then we're going to hold on, I gotta get my picture up here. There it is. So I'm kind of looking at what Raphael did over here, just to kind of, we're just going to mimic what he did. And the more clear you put on, the deeper color you get, so you just build it up slowly. So let's do one on camera, and then I'll do the rest off. I'm going to go a little bit more defined with my shading. I'm just going to kind of let it fade up into the eye sockets a little bit. I kept that kind of overspray red in the eyes. So kind of like that. So we'll do that other ones and we'll come back. Alright, so I got the blue shading done. Looks really good. So I'm just going to, again, follow Raphael's kind of paint up steps. Now he went in with some clear purple, just real kind of lightly in a few areas. So we're going to hit that. Some clear purple. Just real light. Kind of like in the eyes a little bit. To help with the glow effect. Just kind of mist it on here and there. This is pretty potent stuff right here. This is the same stuff I use on the heads. And my client just sent me a message saying he wants to change the heads, so I guess do the heads over. No big deal. I mean, I'm going to bill him for it, but he changed his mind. So as long as he understands that. So this is going to be super, super light. I'm not going to put this on real heavy because, again, this is really some vibrant color right here. Mostly in the eyes sockets here. And just mist this on in a few little random spots. Oops, sorry, I'm on frame. Just give some more tonality than just plain silver. That looks good. Yes. It's subtle, but it's a nice little effect. I'm back way off here because I don't want to put a lot of this on. It's a very vibrant, clear kind of violet purple. It's just to give a little more kind of variation in the metal tone. On these pieces. So this I'm kind of using some artistic license because I'm not sure exactly what these guys look like. I tried to do a Google search on these, but I don't know what they're called. My client just said they're droids. So basically where it was smooth, I did that blue shading, and then I'm going to go in and I'm going to hand paint this rifle, and it's got this kind of nice mesh material, so I'm going to hand paint that a different color too. So yeah, I'm just kind of using some artistic license on some of these pieces. Same here, just kind of wherever those kind of smooth looking armor, I did the shading. Kind of funny because even on these really high-end kits, you can see some of the print lines. They're on the bottom side of the pieces, but they're still there. It's kind of interesting. You can see kind of where the where is it, like underneath here you can see print lines, and under here you can see the print lines. So yeah, so these guys are using super high-end printers, but they still create print lines. I mean, they have to be post-processed out. I'm not sure there's a printer that prints, there might be, that prints absolutely smooth out of the gate, where it's like ready to paint. Okay, I'm just kind of, I'm going to come in here with some of the Vallejo washes and kind of spray some of those on there to kind of give some weathered look. That's looking pretty good. Look at that. In here with some of these guys. I like spraying these on. One green, maybe a little brown, maybe a little yellow. Let's see. Kind of mix some brown and yellow together. So I'm going to go real light with these. You probably can't even see it in camera. Okay, it just recesses a little bit. You have to put these on super light because they're basically water, and they'll run pretty quick. They dry like right away, which is nice. So I don't know. My goal was to try to get this thing wrapped up this weekend. I'm not sure now that I redo the heads that's going to happen, which will put me behind schedule a little bit on some other projects, unfortunately. But it is what it is. Alright, so I'm going to continue this off camera. I'll come back and show what it looks like, what's done. Okay, so I've been hand painting some of the other details on these pieces. I went in some dark metallics and some silver, or some steels and some other tones. Now I'm just doing kind of a rust wash on this darker metallic, and it looks really orange right now, but once it dries, it is not this orange. I just want to give it some more tonal, so I put some on, dabbing like the excess off. I'm letting it dry, and then when it dries, it looks like this rifle right here. So this rifle's got some nice tonal variations in it, and when I go dry brush this is going to bring out a lot of details, but that little bit of a wash just kind of gives it some more tones. I hand brushed these areas with some steel. These have been flat coated so I could do these washes and stuff. But yeah, so it looks really orange at first, like this, and then you're like, holy crap. And then as it dries, it really tones down, because it's mostly water. There's not a lot of pigment in these. And it's just meant to shift the color a little bit. So we're going to do this. I'm going to seal it again, and then I'll dry brush these areas, and I'll send some pictures to my client, and these might be done. Oh, I'm also adding a little bit of wash to these kind of areas here. I'm just kind of slopping it on, and then dabbing this to kind of give it. I'm going to probably go in there with some maybe some pigments too, to make it look like these have been damaged. But again, just put it on real messy and just kind of dab it. You kind of get this mottled look to it, and so it's not so neat. But yeah, so I'm gonna let this dry, and I painted these top parts a little slightly different color, a little brighter metallic. So this should look nice and damaged by the time I'm done. So I'm gonna let these dry. I'm gonna hit these with a hair dryer, let them dry, and then I'm gonna go in here and do some dry brushing. Okay, so I did that wash. I did some dry brushing on this metal and stuff, so we're looking good. So what we're going to do is I put everything on the base. I'm going to add some pigments to some of the shadow areas, and I want all the pieces on there to kind of show me where to put those shadows. So everything right now, everything's flat coated, but my client wants these heads kind of like a semi-gloss, so we're going to do that at the end. But I need a flat surface for the pigments to stick to, so I'm going to get our... So I got some, what is this? Graveyard dirt. I'm just going to add some... Basically, where anything touches, you know, two surfaces kind of come together, we're going to add a little bit of pigment to give it a shadow. Just kind of help ground everything. I'm pretty heavy-handed with pigments. You're supposed to use them really lightly, but I don't. I'm going to hit these areas a little bit more. They get burnt off. I can add a little more kind of weathering and pigments to these parts here. I did a little dry brushing on some of these kind of mesh areas to bring out some of that texture. So I think it's looking pretty good. I'll do that here in a minute. I'm not doing a whole lot of this, just a little bit. So down here I can just kind of add a little bit more down here. That's pretty good. Yeah, a little bit to this guy. So today's goal is to get these pieces done, and then probably the rocks I get those done. I can let those dry overnight, and then I can mask everything off and do these metal parts, and then I got to redo the head. So that's going to be a day, unfortunately. But well, so far he's like, let's put everything together and see what it looks like. So we'll see. So maybe I don't have to redo that. We'll see here in a little bit. A little more kind of. Kind of damage to the head here. Back in and see what it looks like. Well, if he likes this, this is looking pretty good, I think. This guy's looking beat up. So hit these one more time lightly with a flat coat, and then with the dry really good. And then I'll put a kind of a satin semi-gloss on them. Good. I think it's looking good. Just do a little bit more kind of here in the face area. So how that one go? Here, this goes on. Okay. Looking at how it goes on the base, I know where to kind of put these effects to make the most sense. So like I'm going to hit the bottom here pretty heavy and fade it up. Back on one more time and see how they're looking. Gotta be careful about handling the pigments with bare hands because they're not set yet, so I can loosen them up if I'm not careful. This over here. That. So I'm just doing this so hopefully that one's all put together in the end. It all makes a little more sense and it's grounded and seems to meld a little bit better. I like to put a shadow along the bottom edge of things that hit the base. It just makes it seem to, the ground, it doesn't look like it's just sitting on top. It looks like it's part of the piece. Okay. What I might do now Let's do a little bit more dry brushing. Brushes. We're using a real small flat brush. It's perfect for what I was doing. And what did I do with it? When my work area starts getting really messy. That's when I started doing all this hand painting stuff. Let's put this right here. This is a new brush. I really don't want to use a new brush because it dry brushing tears things up. I'm gonna come in here and just add a few little more bright spots. Too much right there. Okay, so I think it looks pretty good. So I'm going to go seal all this again, and then I'm going to send a photo to my client and see what he says. Okay, so my client approved the paint on the droids and stuff, and I got, he wanted the heads glossy and stuff, so let me show you what I got going on. So I hit these with some Deco Art triple thick glaze, which I've never used before. I bought it a long time ago, again because of watching Rafael Robleddo's videos, and I gave it a shot, and man, it goes on really slick. So we gotta let this sit for 24 hours before you're going to really do anything with it. It's already kind of dry to the touch, but it's a thick, I think it's an acrylic, I'm not sure, but we're going to let it dry overnight and then see what it looks. But what I like about it is actually kind of has a little bit of yellow to it, so it kind of toned down the colors a little bit, kind of made them all meld together. But this looks really good, so yeah, I'm curious to see how robust it is, like how well it takes, you know, handling. But I gotta let it dry 24 hours before I do anything else. So what I've got now is I've got the plinth of the base mask off down here, and I'm going to spray some pale burnt metal all over the rocks. I washed the base off. I just kind of sprayed it down with some Windex and went over with the brush. So I did that pastel work on here, and I'm going to have to be able to silly putty and mask on this later, and I want the paint to stick. So I've got some pale burnt metal from Vallejo, my airbrush. And I'm going to coat the rocks in this, and then we're going to go in with a bunch of transparent colors. We're going to make this kind of all the kind of rainbowy, space rock looking thing. Raphael did chrome on the one he did, but I'm not going for that. I'm going for something a little different. This paint's been wanting to clog up lately. So yeah, so we're going to put this on, and then we'll go in with some transparency when I come back. Alrighty, so I got an even coat of the pale burnt metal on this. I went ahead and did this column too. I'll base coat the other columns in the same color. So that's going to be kind of the color I'll start with when I work on these tomorrow. So now we're going to go to a bunch of candy colors. I'm going to use my K Colors candies. I got a bunch of here. I got burnished black, oxide black, burnished brown, hot red, blue, greens. So I think I'm going to start light and work my way down. So let's start with like a brown and get like a warm. This is burnished brown. Again, this is K Colors, candy colors. These are acrylic paints. What did I do on a candy color on this earlier? I did, oh, the visors. Yeah, and the hot red. So this is just a burnished brown. Let's see what this looks like. Just warm this up just a little bit. There's no real method of doing this. You know what I need to do? I have to do this spot too on this piece because this is part of the rock. So I need to do that. Make sure I don't forget to do that. Okay, so this is transparent. Again, K colors, candy. This is burnished brown. Knock my exposure down a little bit because it's pretty bright with this bright silver. So this color right now is not doing a whole lot. You gotta, again, build these up slowly. Just adding a little bit of warmth to this. This black, burnished black is what I think is gonna look good. It's kind of like a bluish black, from what I can tell. Not really doing the color I want. Figure this out real quick. Okay, so this burnished black is kind of bluish. See what this looks like. This is kind of yeah, this is kind of giving me a cool look. So we're going to do purples and blues and reds. Let me turn my fan. I'm not sure you can see what's happening here, but this is just kind of giving it a nice dark, cool color, bringing the tone down quite a bit. It's actually giving me a nice kind of shading effect along this beam too at the same time, so it's kind of a nice small effect. Okay, so there's some of that. Burnished blue. Let's see what that does. I'm just going to play with colors here until I get something I think that's kind of cool. My poor airbrush, I need to fix it. Looks like the needle's bent. Okay, burnished blue. Oh, that's kind of cool. That's going to be kind of a cool effect. you can see that. Cool thing by doing it this way is as you turn the piece in the light, then it kind of shift colors. And there you have all these candies on top of each other. Pretty good. Sorry, my arm's in the way. Just trying to get underneath the rocks here a little bit. And I've got some of my transparent lavender here I've got mixed up. This is pretty potent stuff, so we'll just do a little bit. This actually gives me kind of a cool effect with that black and blue underneath it. Yeah, I'm digging the purple. A little bit more of that, and I'm going to maybe some red. And some more of that burnished black. A little heavy there in that little spot, that's no big deal. Go back to some of this blue. Actually, let's go to red. This is the hot red. Just cracked a little bit. Airbrush is spinning a little bit. This candy stuff is, you gotta be careful, you can't touch it right afterwards because it stays sticky for a little bit. like something. I'm sure you guys can see the camera. Looking pretty cool. You don't see a whole lot of this because most of it gets covered up with all the parts, but yeah, the red on top of the purple gives a real nice kind of magenta look. I'm gonna go back under this area with a little more of the black, I think, to give it a shadow. Just do a little bit of shading here. Find some subtle details molded in right here, so I'll hit those. Alright, there you go, that's it. Okay, I'm going to go. I'm going to come back to this oxide black. Oxide black. Let's see what this is. There's got a little green in it, maybe. That's weird. Air pressure just went down. Black oxide. Let's see what this is. Oh, I lost air pressure. Wrong with my air compressor taking a break. Sometimes it does that. It overheats up in the attic. This is kind of black, purple, greenish tone. It's kind of interesting. I'm gonna let my air pressure come back up and we'll continue. Alright, so I spent the last 45 minutes or so just layering on different candy colors, and we kind of got this cool color shifting thing going on. So we got greens, blues, purples, reds. I'm going to seal this. I'm going to go in and I'm going to dry brush a little bit of metallic on some of these, and then I think we might be good. I'm going to send a picture to my client, see what he says. But once I seal it, I may dry brush some to bring out some of these rocks. But it's kind of got this cool iridescent color changing thing going on. But that's where we are right now. Alright, so now what I'm doing is I've got some of my craft paints, and I got this metallic, I'm starting with metallic aquamarine, and I'm going on real lightly to this area. So I don't have much on my brush, and it's easy with the craft paints. It's pretty thin, but I don't want to change the color. I just want to bring out some of these details. So we're lightly dry brushing this on. Basically, anything that's kind of got this texture. That, and we're going to do it over here. So I get these rocks done today, and so I got all the robot parts that are done. They're drying, and I got to do this staff or the spear, whatever you want to call it. I've got the first color down. I got to mask off and do the second color and do the shading. So that's a good day today. It's a full day of painting. So I'm not sure if this is showing up in camera. Just going in, lightly hitting the tops of these spots here. That gives it a really cool look. We're coming with some green. Sorry, I'm trying to look at the color. That's telling me it's in different metallic, delta. I'm not sure what color it is. It's metallic green. If I can get it open. Way more than I need. I just use these big towels like this for this kind of stuff, so I can come in and get it messy. So again, I got just a little bit of paint on my brush. Kind of hit the tops. Anywhere I kind of got green concentrated. Right here, kind of got like a vein of green. Right here, got a little bit. Here. Yeah, this is making a big difference here. It's looking, I got a lot of cool colors going on, but it's a little flat, so this is just bringing out some of the details in the sculpt. I have to get my daughter from school. And then I'll finish this up, and then I'll send pictures. I didn't send pictures to my client yet because I want to do this first. But yeah, it's looking pretty cool. So I'm gonna continue this, and then we'll come back and look at it. Okay, so I got approval for the rocks from a client who likes them. So those are done. Those have been sealed. I just got done painting whatever this thing is, the axe spear thing. Looking really good, two-tone, gold, silver with some weathering on it. Just seal that. That's good to go. So I'm done for the day. I gotta wait for stuff to dry, and then the last thing to do is to mask off the rocks and paint these guys, and then do weathering, and then do the laser effects, and then after that we're gonna put everything together, see what my client thinks of the heads, and he'll make a decision then to whether he wants me to redo them or not. So he had just talked to some of his, I guess, friends or whatever, looked at some other references and stuff, and decided he may want to change them to a different style, which is fine. But as long as I get the bill for it, I don't care. It just means more money for me, so I'll do it. So that's it for now, and then the next one we'll finish the base up and take a look at them. Okay, continuing on with the base, I masked off all the rocks and I sprayed this kind of warm metallic on these columns, and I've got like a dark brown kind of clear paint mixed up in my airbrush, and I'm just going in and adding some shading here. It's really hard to see because my lights are harsh and it's metallic. Just going in here and doing some shading in the crevices to darken this up, and then we're going to go back in and we're going to do some dry brushing and washes on it. And then the last thing will be to do like a laser effect, which I'll record that too, but I'm just going to show you that I'm just doing this right here. Adding some shading into the crevices. And then when I do the laser effect, I'll come back. But this is just kind of a dark, clear brown I mixed up with some clear brown, some clear smoke, and some black. And we're just going in and giving these pieces some shape. Okay, so I sealed. So I'm going in and doing some pastel work, and just after I sealed these, and once I'm done with this, I'll seal them again and do a little bit of dry brushing. But again, this is a pretty loose process. This is just some pigment smell slag, graveyard dirt, kind of brownish colors. And I'm just accentuating the airbrushing I did earlier. And you can see I'm not being super careful. It's a very loose process for me. I don't, it looks more natural, just kind of do it loose. So I got the other piece drying over off to the side. I have to spray one side, let it dry, and flip it over to the other side. So this color right here, this is graveyard dirt, and just kind of, again, just dirtying it up here and there. And then this color looks really good against the base. It's a nice warm silvery metallic, so it plays well. I didn't want to do silver because the base was base coated in silver, so I want to do something that would complement the tone of the base. So it's a nice contrast, complementary. It's contradictory. It's a nice complement to the base because you get the warm tones of this metal against the cool tones of the rock, and it looks really good. So I'm going to continue doing this. This will go pretty quick. This will just take me a few minutes to do this, and then I'll seal them again. And then we'll do a little bit of dry brushing, and then the last step should be the laser effect, which would be all airbrushed. So, yeah, I'm going to continue to this, seal it, and we'll come back. Okay, another cooking show moment, and he's done. So, last thing I did yesterday was I finished up the base, did these kind of laser effects and stuff, sent my client a video, he loved it, so that turned out really nice. I'm really happy with this effect. I didn't videotape it again. This project has taken way longer than I anticipated. I've been working on it for 2.5 weeks, just because it's the challenging piece. Let's say that for many reasons, the fitment, dealing with the cape, and all that stuff. So this looks really good. Client's happy with it, and then he asked me to redo the heads. So we initially went with like a kind of a purple color, and then he found a head he liked better. So for reference, we went with more kind of a. So this one has actually a lot of pink and red in it. So it didn't take me as long as I thought it would. I thought I had to redo everything. The only thing I didn't redo was the hair. I masked the hair off because it looked really good. So for the skin, what I did is I mixed up a really almost super pale purple and kind of misted it over the heads. And then I went back in and added some pink to that same color and added more highlights to the heads to just get a little more rosiness. And then the last step was to take some clear red and just super lightly mist clear red over the whole thing. And this is almost exactly to what the new reference he sent me. The only thing we didn't do compared to the other reference was it had some flecking on the skin, and he didn't want that, so we didn't do that. But this looks really good. Personally, I like the deeper purple because I think it goes well with the colors on him. But I do like this palette. I think the other colors go better with the suit. But again, it's not my piece. It's my client's piece, so we do what he wants. But this looks really good. I'm super happy with it. I'm going to take final pictures today. Very challenging piece. So for my client, when you put this together, what you're going to want to do first, I'm not going to take it apart and show you, but I'm going to just tell you what you have to do because, again, it's kind of a challenging piece. When you put this together, the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put on, let me get this away from here so I can turn this a little bit. I might be able to take this part apart. Yeah, I think I get this apart while it's together. Okay, this all comes off. First thing you're going to want to do is put these two pieces in. Oh, actually, I can't take this out because of this piece. But the way these work, these kind of actually nestle in together right here. So you actually kind of have to loosely put these together and then put them in the base at the same time. And then they'll go in. And then the heads you can put in this one, you want to put in this one first. And then you want to put in this one that goes back here. You have to go in the key. And then put this one in. So this is an older, when I say older, a couple years old custom piece. So I think that fitting, if this was a new custom, I think the fitting would be better. I think because it's a little bit older piece, it's a little harder to put together. Okay, so once that's together, then you want to put this piece in. Now, there is going to be some paint rubbing on this bottom piece. I've sanded. So when you take this off, you're going to see a spot under here. You can't see it now because it's hidden where the paint rubs off. And I don't want to file any more of the resin off because I'm afraid if I do that, it'll be loose. So it's fairly tight right now, but there is a spot underneath here on this piece where the paint rubs off. So I'm just going to leave it as is, just to let you know that when you see this, there is a spot where the paint rubs off. I've sanded it down more and I've touched it up, but at that point I'm just going to leave it because if I keep adding paint to it, it's just going to keep coming off. So just FYI, there is a spot that's underneath this piece, you can't see it at all, where the paint rubs off on this. So, and the more you take it on and put it off, it's going to just rub more. So I figured you don't see it, it's not worth keep grinding at it to make it fit better. I'm just going to leave it as is. But you want to put this head in first before you put this piece in, because the way I rekeyed this piece and I had this butt up right against there, this kind of nestles just underneath this, and you can't take this head off with this piece in place. So you want to put the blue head in first, then put this piece in, and you're going to have to push down on it a little bit to fit, to get it together as best as you can. And then once that's done, you can put Gladiator on the base. Use one piece, and then you can put the cape in. The cape's tricky, it's a tight fit, so be careful. I may work on that a little bit today, see if I can make it easier to put in, but again, I made it a tight fit so it wouldn't fall off. There is a little bit of a gap in the shoulders here. Again, all the pieces I've seen, there's actually been a larger gap than what I have here, but it's just the way this kit is. But the cape's not going to come out. I think you're safe there. The heads, now they're, again, I had to work on these to fit better, but this one in particular was challenging. So when you put this head in, the angry portrait, just set it in there. Don't put it in there and try to shove it down, because now it does rock back and forth a little bit, but it's rubbing really pretty good on the cape. And I did grind this down quite a bit. I took a lot off his neck, but it fits in there nicely. It fits well. Just don't shove it down in there. The other head, for whatever reason, is just sculpted better than the neckline. It fits, goes in no problem. For this other one, this angry portrait, it's a pretty tight fit. So when I put it, I just put it in there, and it looks like it fits well. Just don't shove it down in there; you'll be good. But looks really good. Let's see what else. Let's see if I can spin this around. Colors are really nice. The red looks great on the cape. So yeah, challenging piece. One of the more challenging pieces I've done in a long time, and just took way more time than I anticipated. So he kept asking me if I wanted him to pay me. He's like, no, don't pay me till it's done. I don't do the deposit thing anymore. I don't like to have someone's money until I'm done with their project, because life happens, you know. If I have to take a break for a while, I don't want to have someone's money in possession and not have the project done. But yeah, this is cool. It's a cool piece. It's, again, really challenging. I'm glad it's over with. I do have to try to figure out how to pack him, since I've got him as one piece now. You know, I glued the torso and the legs together. So that'll be challenging, but I think I can get him back in the original box. I would really, really like to glue the cape to him. I don't know if I do that, if I can pack him in the original box. I'm going to look at that today after I take pictures to see if that's possible. If it's possible, I think I might glue the cape on and just have him one piece. We'll look at that. I think that would be really a smart idea. Also, when you put the cape on, I suggest I did this. I'm going to have to do a little touch up on the inside of the cape and the back on its back, because when you put the cape on, there's rubbing, and there's nothing you can do about that. So after I take the cape off before I ship it, I'm going to touch that paint up, just a little brush touch up, so I mean, you might see it. But I would wrap his back in some saran wrap, just some plastic wrap, for when you put the cape on, and then take the saran wrap out. That's what I did when I put on this last time. Again, on pieces like this, there's going to be paint rubbing. When you put stuff together, 99% of the time it's places that are hidden, so you can't see it. So personally, I don't think it's that big of a deal. But just as a warning, when you put the cape on, do it carefully. There will be paint rubbing on the back side, on the inside of the cape and his back a little bit. So if you see a spot where I touched it up, that's why. But there you go. So I'm going to take final pictures here in a little bit, and then I'll upload those with this video. This will be a very long video because I didn't break it up as much as I normally do. But again, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next project. Catch you guys later. Bye.